short, I got elbowed in the chest, knocked the wind out of me, didn't think anything of it. And then I was walking upstairs in our house that night and I just like collapsed on the stairs. And at the time, it was the most painful thing I'd ever experienced. Like every breath was just knives. No anesthesia. I'm fully awake. They gave me Novocaine for the incision and that's it. We can go through your sternum or we can go through your back. So I said, no sternum. And then he says, Chris, it's a quicker recovery despite us breaking your sternum. I said, no, go through my back. They went through my back and he had to take his hand into my chest cavity, pull off my lung from the chest wall. That was when I really kind of just started using alcohol and food to kind of cope with a lot of things.
Would be willing to share it with us.
Yeah. You want to know about all the surgeries or just my
I want to know the whole story. We got time. No,
okay, cool. So I am a identical triplet. My brothers and I were adopted from Korea. My dad's from Pennsylvania. My mom's from New York. So my dad worked for ExxonMobil for his entire career. So we lived overseas most of my life. So they adopted us. We flew into JFK Airport. We were in New Jersey for a little bit, nursery school and stuff like that. And then we lived in Sicily when we were babies. I don't really remember any of that minus the baby videos. And then kindergarten to fifth grade, we were in Singapore. Sixth grade and middle of seventh, we were in London. Middle of seventh to 10th grade, we lived in Norway. And then our last 2 years of high school, we're in Texas, where my parents currently still live. So
Are they in Houston area, I expect? Or?
Yeah.
Got it. Okay.
So they were in the Woodlands for like 15 years, and then they downsized to Conroe, Montgomery area.
Got it.
So basically lived my life overseas. I think that was challenging, just moving to different countries and cultures and customs and languages, every few years. But in retrospect,
you're almost an army brat, right? Same kind of concept.
I mean, literally all my friends were either expat or NATO, or Air Force or
right,
military,
exactly.
Right? So that's basically the expat community. So I was in eighth grade. And the private school that we went to in Norway, I mean, basically, if you showed up for tryouts for a sport, you basically made the team because the school was so small. We were scrimmaging the faculty because we really didn't have anyone to play. And so, long story short, I got elbowed in the chest by his name was Mr. Mullins. I'll never forget it. Yeah. Oh, yeah. Knocked the wind out of me, didn't think anything of it. And then I was walking upstairs in our house that night and I just like collapsed on the stairs. And at the time, it was the most painful thing I'd ever experienced. Like every breath was just knives, right? And I didn't know what was going on. So I was in so much, I couldn't even like call for help. So I just sat there, right? Just taking these short, shallow breaths. And one of my brothers found me and my dad took me to the ER and they took an x-ray and they're like, oh, you have collapsed lung. So I was like, okay.
So you're in eighth grade.
Eighth grade. So we go into the OR and I remember they're like, okay, we have to put in a chest tube. I said, okay. And no anesthesia. So I'm fully awake and they gave me Novocaine for the incision and that's it. And so as you can imagine, once that chest tube enters your pleural space, there's no Novocaine up there, right? Ooh. So it's just every millimeter. Yeah. I mean, it's the longest 30 minutes of my life. So they told me at the time, oh, well, your lung will reinflate. We'll remove the chest tube. You're all good. So
and then it collapsed again? How long?
That was maybe, I'd say within the year.
Wow.
And so then they basically explained to me that I was born with blebs on my lungs. And if there's too much pressure in my chest cavity, they rupture. So what they need to do is a pleurodesis thoracotomy, go in, cut out the blebs, suture them, and then they do that whole
glue it, basically.
Glue. Yeah. So
this done. Is like ninth grade now.
Yeah, ninth grade.
Can I ask you? Yeah. Your other brothers, your identical twin brothers.
Yeah, no issues.
Really?
Yeah, so I was the lucky one, I guess.
Wow.
So that happened, and then obviously, depression and all these things started to kind of creep in. I had identified with sports my entire life up until then, and now I couldn't do anything. So that was kind of a shock. And then it was a summer in Jersey. We were going to go to like a stay away basketball camp at Montclair State University. And I was sitting on my grandparents' couch and boom, just hits me. And I know exactly what's happened. Now it's on my left side. And I start to not only have the pain of a collapsed lung, but now I'm having panic, like a panic feeling because I don't want to go through.
Because you know what this means.
Yeah. So they rushed me to the hospital based on the history. They went in and just did the whole procedure. But fortunately in the States, they give you anesthesia. I don't remember anything. So I'm like, give me all the drugs.
Anesthesia.
So that doctor, I'll never forget his name, Dr. Kaplan, did the procedure. And then maybe 2 years later, I had like a 50% collapse. He had done it incorrectly. So all the parts that he had tried to get that to stick, it didn't.
Yeah.
So then I was in Texas at the time and Texas Children's Hospital. And I don't remember the surgeon's name, but he was like the best. But he said, look, Chris, we have two options. We can go through your sternum or we can go through your back. And I said, if you go through my sternum, do you have to break my sternum? He's like, yes. I said, no sternum. And then he says, Chris, it's a quicker recovery despite us breaking your sternum. I said, no, go through my back. And so they went through my back and he had to take his hand into my chest cavity, pull off my lung from the chest wall, redo the whole procedure. I'm coming out of surgery, literally sitting like this. I can't even sit up because all my intercostal muscles have been moved around. It was the
Yeah.
longest recovery. And I remember
Oh, it must
he
have been
had,
weeks, if not months.
it was months, months.
Yeah.
And I remember him saying to me in this really smug way, like, it's like a formal kick in the ribs. I'm like, really, dude?
Ha
I'm like,
ha.
haha, funny. I'm sure you say that to all your
Yeah.
patients. And then,
And how old were you
yeah,
when that
was right when I was graduating high school. So
Wow.
2001.
So, and just by the way, I'm just
Mhm.
curious, as far as your educational career and all these hospitalizations and being sick and recovery, so you're able to like continue, and I mean,
I graduated on time.
impressive.
I got into the School of Architecture at the University of Miami. So that's
Wow,
what
impressive.
undergrad. Yeah. And then basically throughout college, that was when I really kind of just started using alcohol and food to kind of cope with a
Mm.
lot of things. And when I entered college, I was 117 pounds right out of surgery. And then by my third year, it was a 5-year program. By my fourth year of college, I was like 195. So I
Oh.
had gained a lot of weight.
Mm.
But it was just, I was in a fraternity. I was a co-ed cheerleader at the University of Miami. So I had that whole thing. And then I was in architecture school. So it's like three things that I was just trying to juggle. And then sophomore year of college, I fell asleep driving and with my brothers, and I rolled our car down a hill, and all three of us. So then I had a piece of windshield in
So,
my head. I had
wow.
like 37 staples. And so then I couldn't sleep lying down for like a few months because I would get vertigo. And
And but no pneumothorax.
no pneumothorax, but it fed into the whole victim mentality where I was just like, why is this stuff happening to me? Like what's the point of getting excited about anything if I'm just going to end up back in the hospital because this is my life?
Yeah.
And
And you were a
so
sophomore, so you're 20 or
sophomore
so,
year,
right?
yeah.
19, 20. Yeah.
So I lived in that I played that victim card for years. And then I graduated college, was working for an architectural firm in Miami. And then
So what was the
2000, yeah,
recovery from all that?
a car accident was a while. I would say like 6 months before I could like, where I didn't feel any residual effects of it.
Wow. And all this time though, you were able to stay on track with school, and
Yeah.
that architecture degree is a big deal. 5 years, and
Yeah. Yeah.
it's a lot. I mean,
It's a
that's
lot. Like having an MD in the family. One of my older sisters is a partner at an immigration law firm in Miami. And then
oh
my dad's
wow.
an engineer. So it's like, I thought, oh, architect, it's like, oh, it's on that same level, right? Like it's got prestige. And then when you get out there, you realize architects make no money. My starting salary in 2006 was 32,000.
Oh
It
my
was like
gosh.
University of Miami cost 40,000 a year.
Right.
So it's like, how am I supposed to pay off student loans if my starting salary is
Yeah.
32? So 2008 hit, building economy crashed.
Hey, Chris,
It's yeah,
do you have a GoFundMe?
no, I don't. Yeah, that would have been great
Okay.
back then. So then I got out in architecture and I was miserable. I just hated it. I really did. And
Mm,
2008 hit, building stopped, and I decided to leave
right.
that profession. And I decided to open. At the time, we opened the second CrossFit affiliate in Miami in
Mm,
2008. I had gotten into
wow.
CrossFit around 2005 on my own,
Wow.
and then kind of left architecture, and everyone thought I was crazy. I just remember all the conversations with my parents and just a lot of yelling and like, you don't know anything about running a business. Gyms fail all the time. You put all this time in this career and this degree, blah blah blah. And I'm like, no, I hate it. And so yeah, so I owned and operated that affiliate with my partners for 10 years, and
Mm,
then I sold my portion of the business in 2018 when I got married. And then my now ex-wife is that for the longest time I always said things are happening to me. And then when I started to truly believe things happen for me, not to me, it changed everything,
mm.
right? I got him to lose 160 pounds.
I mean, there's no better empathy of going, yeah, I get it. I heard it.
Mm-hmm.
I was there, you know?
Yeah, yeah,
Um,
and I think my mental illness that I've just coexisted with for my entire life, I always viewed it as this crutch that, oh, I'm never going to be able to be my full self or my true potential because of these hurdles. And what I realized now is that it is a superpower because it allows me to,
right.
show empathy to people that struggle with the same. When you look at heroes and villains, they both have the exact same backstory. They both come from tragedy, trauma, but the difference is the hero or the villain says, the world hurt me, I'm going to hurt everyone else. And the hero says, the world hurt me, I'm not going to allow it to hurt anyone else.
Want clarity on your arterial risk? Click now the link in the description to schedule your ClearCardio patient assessment call. We'll review your risk factors, see if our advanced program fits you or points you in the right direction.
So
Yeah,
everything in
yeah.
life, no matter how terrible it is, it's an opportunity to take something from it, right? And use it as fuel. And so when I think back on that, I'm like, wow, like I totally made that right choice with going through the back. And so now I have
Mm-hmm.
these metal plates in my sternum, and my surgeon's like, hey man, you're coming out stronger than you came in going in. So it's like, this is a win-win. And yeah, so that's kind of in college in Miami, as you can imagine, you're surrounded by the culture of Miami. It's just beach
Sure.
buds, right? So it's dudes just lifting heavy weights. It's like all upper body, no legs, and
Right.
bicep curls and bench. And what I just thought, all right, I just need to eat to fuel to look like jacked. So I just literally would just house everything in the cafeteria, like cheeseburgers, French fries, whatever it was. And then obviously on the weekends, I'm in a fraternity. I'm binge drinking all weekend. I'm
Sure.
eating Taco Bell at 2 in the morning. I'm doing all these things. And so I remember, but I am like, my face is swollen. I'm just like, I'm puffy. And then once guys kind of go through this ebb and flow of like, hey, I want to look lean and ripped like Brad Pitt in Fight Club, or I want to look like, Ronnie Coleman, just super yoked. And so that's kind of where I toggled. It was like, okay, well, now I think I'm jacked, but then I'm like, I can't run. I have no cardio. I have no stamina. So then I started running marathons and ran marathons. I went from 195 down to like 150. But then as old school training of like, oh, we're going to carb load and we're just going to eat whatever and then run it off. And then it wasn't a really, I think, quote unquote, healthy way of living or sustainable.
Yeah.
And then I could run marathons. I was like, oh man, I'm the fittest I've ever been. And I was like, wow, now I can't do a pull-up. I can't do a push-up. And then 2005 came around and the movie 300 came out. And I'm like, whoa, what are those guys doing? Gerard Butler looks insane. And so I looked up online. They trained at a gym here in Utah called Jim Jones. And
really?
Yeah. So I followed their workouts online. They gave free workouts on the website. And it was very intense on their website. Like, if you're fat, get out of our face. Like, they're really like, we're Spartans. We only train fit people. So if you're a slob, like, you're not going to get our attention. And I was like, wow, that's really hardcore.
You didn't stand on the edge of that big deep hole, did you?
Yes. No. And so then basically I was following their workouts, and then they posted a workout called Fran, and it said Fran via CrossFit. I'm like, what's CrossFit? I looked it up. I'm like, oh, they're getting everything from this thing. So then I started following CrossFit.com. And then that's when that was the first fitness program that I'd ever started where they really started talking about nutrition, because they talked about this pyramid that they designed where it's like your foundation is food, right? Then it goes, food, we'll talk about like sleep, weightlifting, sport, kind of this tier thing. And so I'm like, oh, okay. So I started kind of dabbling in that. And then I realized, wow, like it makes sense. If you put really crappy fuel in your tank, your engine's not going to run very well. Right. So it's kind of this idea of like, all right, if I want to be mediocre at everything, which is what CrossFit's methodology essentially is, it's like, we want you doing what you want to do for as long as you can, basically live independently for as long as you can. And so that's when I opened the gym, I noticed, all right, we can get people in here. They can work out 5 days a week, but if they're not focusing on how they're taking care of themselves outside the gym, nothing's going to change. And then that's just really terrible advertising. So
and they're gone in February.
Exactly. So I started doing something that my mother did to all my siblings and I. And every time we'd leave the house, she'd always say the same words, be safe. And I could just hear this phrase, and it just got to a point where it was annoying. And I remember when I got to college and I'm partying and I'm doing all the things, I remember thinking, well, that's not safe. Oh my God, am I being safe? And then I realized what my mom was doing was instilling this phrase in my head because she knew she couldn't be there every moment. And so then I started doing that with my clients by saying, how's nutrition? Every time they step in the room, hey, how's nutrition? And then they like look away or they, ignore the question. And then it got to a point where they started thinking about it outside the gym. And then I started running nutritional challenges within the gym. And then I realized this is what we need to be focusing on. Exercise is great. Don't get me wrong. We need resistance training. You and I both know that skeletal muscle mass is really what we want.
Muscle is key.
Muscle is your biggest lever towards longevity. And so, but if you're just eating whatever you want, or you're under eating, or you're doing whatever fad diet is out there, I mean, you're just going to yo-yo. And then, then I realized, wow, there's so much psychology around food, obviously. People use it to cope, just like I was using it to cope in college with alcohol and food. And so it's really, that's when I started realizing, all right, well, if I want to take care of my heart, I need to also fuel my efforts. And then it goes into sleep, right? Like, sleep is such a priority for me. And I impose that onto my clients where every morning when they send me a food picture, they have to let me know how many hours of sleep they got the night before. And if it's 7 to 9, I'll give them a heart emoji. If it's less than 7, I'm like, hey, what's going on? Right. And so we need to prioritize that because also there's a reason why the Guinness Book of World Records nixed that challenge. It's just too many negative impacts on someone's health. They'll let you eat an airplane, but they nixed sleep deprivation.
Right.
So, then you realize that, heart health, mental health, physical health, everything is connected. And if you don't talk about everything, you don't address everything, then you're going to be deficient in some area. So, yeah. It's
like putting a square on your car instead of a wheel, right?
Yes,
I mean,
exactly.
It has to be balanced.
Yeah. So then that's what led me into what I do now is I just work with people on nutritional coaching. Obviously, we talk about fitness, we talk about steps, we talk about sleep, stress management, but nutrition is the foundation of it, is really like holding them accountable, giving them a very simple plan, just eating real whole foods. I think there's a time and place for supplementation, but that shouldn't be plan A. I think there's lots of great supplements out there, right? Like creatine monohydrate, I think everyone should be taking, but hey, let's start with eating some fruits and vegetables. Let's read ingredients.
Then add on to that. Yeah. There's the engine and the supercharger, right?
Yeah. You have it's all, and I think a lot of people struggle because, it's ignorance is bliss. It's just, hey, I don't want to do blood work. I don't want to know, but it's like, okay, well, you only get one ticket. So what do you want to do?
Ignorance may be bliss, but it won't be for long.
No. Yeah, exactly. It's that famous
Kinda like,
line in Princess Bride where the six-fingered man says to Prince Humperdinck, he says, if you don't have your health, you don't have anything at all. You are not wrong. Yeah. And I think, yeah, go on.
no, go ahead, please.
No, I was just saying that I just think that the thing that I see most people struggle with is honestly, like I said, it's more of not wanting to know. I think, modern medicine is great for acute care, right? You get in a car accident, you break a bone, great.
Yeah.
But the lifestyle, the long-term diseases, it's just not really
No one
doing
addresses
super. Yeah, it's not great.
Yeah.
And I think, if people were just a little more proactive, and you and I both know, obviously, like heart disease is the number one killer for men and women. And especially if you have history of it, I just think that, I left architecture. And in a weird way, for me, architecture I originally wanted to be an architect because I think it's a mixture of being adopted, moving around so much as I love my family. I felt like, if I could build my own home, I have security. I built my own home. I built my own safe space.
Yeah.
And then as I've gotten older, I realized as moved around so much, home is not a place. Home is a place in my mind. And so then I started focusing on things like, breath work and meditation and all those things. And then, so what I left architecture initially wanting to build buildings, now it's like I'm kind of building people from the ground up. And if I can get someone, I remember this one client I had, I got him to lose 160 pounds.
Wow.
He's a big guy, but 160 pounds. And I remember he comes into the gym and
could you imagine wearing a 160-pound backpack?
I say that's like a Backstreet Boy, right? Like that's a physical person. So he comes in and he's like, Chris, something truly amazing happened like a few weeks ago. And I forgot to mention to you, but I want to tell you. And I was like, well, what happened? He's like, a few weeks ago, I could see my penis. And I was like, oh my God, why are you telling me that? And he's like, no, you don't understand. I was so big, I could never see it. And I'm like, dude, high five. It's just like little things like that you don't even think about.
Yeah.
And I think that to me, I'm like, wow, I'm making a bigger difference than anything I would have done in architecture on a smaller scale with an individual.
Yeah, but I think too, with their background, I mean, you lived it, right? You came from it, right? You pulled yourself out of that hole. And so as you work with people, what an amazing way to, I mean, there's no better empathy of going, yeah, I get it. I heard it. I was there,
Yeah. And I think my mental illness that I've just coexisted with for my entire life, I always viewed it as this crutch that, I'm never going to be able to be my full self or my true potential because of these hurdles. And what I realized now is that it is a superpower because it allows me to, show empathy to people that struggle with the same thing. Because the worst thing someone can hear when they're depressed is someone say, just be happy. It's like,
right.
Yeah, you think I wouldn't have done that, right? And so,
well, just lose weight.
Yeah. Just eat less, move more. Just do that, all right? And there's a
calories
great
in,
book.
calories out.
Exactly. There's a great book called First Rate Madness, and it talks about a lot of our historical leaders. And
I read it. Yeah, it's amazing.
It's great.
Unbelievable.
And you think, what would our world look like if these people
Adolf
didn't
Hitler,
struggle?
Lincoln, just fascinating.
JFK was manic. Churchill, Gandhi, MLK, like all of them. It's like it's crazy. So that book also showed me, hey, this isn't a negative thing. Like maybe I can use this as a way to pay it forward to help others. And look, I have dark days, right? And it's just part of my life. But I think that there are holistic ways of mitigating the super dark moments. So it's allowed me to gain more agency around that part of my life. But it's tough,
So tell me about your podcast career, how you got into that, how you built it.
I created that handle because, I think people judge people by what they look like. I mean, I get it a lot. I have a lot of visible tattoos.
That's why I have no friends or family, by the way. Oh, well, which is why I'm talking to you at 5 o'clock at night.
Yeah. So it was just this idea that, I think the first time I saw someone with like a full neck sleeve, it was a little jarring. Saw someone with a head tattoo or a face tattoo. I'm like, ugh. And I think, exactly. Right. Mike Tyson. But I wanted the handle just to show that, like, and if you follow me, it's a lot of my content is, revolved around humor. I think that is a universal language. And I think the world needs more of it right now. Laughter. And it's allowed me to talk about serious topics in a light way. So it's relatable. And so, so that's really,
I'm signing up right now. I'm going to make sure I'm following you here. So there we go.
I'll follow you back. So really it's just that idea that like, you shouldn't judge, like people can judge me based on my physique and my tattoos, but there's a lot more to me. I mean, most people wouldn't have guessed that I'm a Taylor Swift fan. Like I like rom-coms. I'm basically a big softie.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Well, that's very cool. That's amazing. So I really just wanted to thank you for telling your story. It's great. We love that resilience course. We love sleep, diet, exercise, lifestyle, just all that you have overcome and really just turn, I mean, I know it sounds trite, but turn the negatives into positives. And that's a mind thing. That's not, the body comes afterwards, but that's a mind thing. It's how we think about the world, and not what the world has done to me, but what I'm going to do.
Yeah.
So
So I use
admirable.
I use this because I'm a big superhero fan. And when you look at heroes and villains, they both have the exact same backstory. They both come from tragedy, trauma. But the difference is the hero or the villain says, the world hurt me, I'm going to hurt everyone else. And the hero says, the world hurt me, I'm not going to allow it to hurt anyone else. So it's like you can be the hero in your own story. It's a choice, right? And I think it's easier to project and lash out and do all the things.
Oh, sure. Yeah.
It's more challenging to use the negative stuff as fuel. And I always say it's this rare resource that people just miss out on. It's like rocket fuel if you can utilize it. So yeah.
Well, listen, I really appreciate your time tonight. Thanks for telling us the story. It's just amazing. So I like to think birds of feather flock together. So hopefully we'll continue to flock. I am now following you. So, but thanks for being on the power of prevention. We love any kind of prevention. Obviously, I'm focused on cardiovascular, and of course, you had your own enough run-ins with that. Hopefully, the valve's doing great. You're taking your warfarin and your baby aspirin, and no bleeding, and life is great.
That's good. Everything's
Good.
good. So
Good.
I appreciate you, and thanks for having me on.
Oh yeah, no, it was awesome. So thanks again. Good luck. We'll be continue to watch and follow you, and I look forward to our paths crossing again.
Me too.
And also too, by the way, get on Beyond the Tats on Instagram. Do you have any other social media or
TikTok? Same handle. Yeah.
Okay, so TikTok, Instagram, Beyond the Tats. So check Chris out. Follow. Fascinating stuff. This is the kind of stuff that we want to celebrate what you have done, and it's a real testimony. So thank you. And again, I hope our paths do cross soon. But thanks so much for taking the time out tonight and being on Power of Prevention. Wonderful story. So all right,
thank you.
Have a great evening, and we'll talk soon.
Don't miss this other episode right here on the screen, where we will reveal the missing answers you need to know about true cardiovascular prevention. And if you're ready for absolute clarity on your arterial risk, click the link in the description to schedule your ClearCardio patient assessment. We'll look at your specific risk factors and see if our advanced program can help you.